This has been a very, very quick 2 weeks. I feel like we should probably extend this out some more, don't you guys?
Yeah, I think we should.
Hi, everyone.
Sure.
I'm Nick Knack, and I'm here with Realm.
Hello, everybody. I said something that shall not be said now, but it was earlier.
Yeah, he's on timeout.
Yeah.
Seki.
Hello, everybody. I'm the one who put him on timeout.
And finally, the great Lord Vorn.
Our Lord, Savior, and mysterious benefactor, all hail.
All hail the Vorn.
All hail the Vor.
Oh, no, that's something completely different. And that belongs in the category of spiciness.
All right, guys. So, since I think, Seki, you were the one that submitted this show this week, right?
Yes, and I'm very excited because we finally get shonen.
Why don't you go ahead and lead us on this?
So this week we watched Katekyo Hitman Reborn, episodes 1 through 12. So the beginning of the daily life arc and Kokuyo arc. Unfortunately, we don't really get into Kokuyo, but it is the daily life arc. So let's go around the circle and just think about people's thoughts on it. Vorn.
It was meh.
Shonen by the numbers. Some things definitely not the worst I've seen, but not the best.
I liked it enough. It was funny at times. Also, Team Haru is here to support.
I guess, does everyone have a waifu, or does anyone want to pick a waifu?
Zanzis is my waifu.
Like I said, mine was Bianchi. Kind of. Not really.
You were Haru, right?
Yeah, Team Haru.
My waifu was Hayato, because he's the one most likely to kill Lambo.
Perfect.
To be fair, that becomes an ongoing thing. So I've seen the entire series, and I'm really big into shonen. And as you can tell, these three maybe aren't so big into shonen. But for those of you who have seen this series, Zanzis is my waifu.
Oy vey.
Yeah, you got to get way further in, like 3 seasons. I don't know. But so the first episode was what? I'm the 10th generation mafia boss.
For the record, we're not even covering the full first season. We're only covering episode 1 through 12.
It's just episodes 1 through 12 because I tried to push for the whole daily life arc, but it was a little bit longer than our limit allowed. I think it was like 3 episodes past our petition limit, since we do have a limit on how many we can extend by because of the time constraints. So how did everybody feel about episode 1? What, I'm a 10th generation mafia boss?
I mean, I thought it was pretty funny. The last I watched it was in a group with you guys, and I mean, I enjoyed it enough. Like, you just get to see like someone get shot, and then they burst out in their underwear, and they're suddenly like super strong and willing to fulfill their wishes.
Dying will. They're dying will.
In that moment, mind
The best
you.
part of the episode were those brief seconds after he was shot, when there was that very, very off chance that he was actually dead and the show could end.
I mean, I wouldn't have put it past Reborn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get the idea. He would kill him.
Yeah, and his excuse for it would be, he wasn't good enough. He just wasn't.
Oh, yes.
So for those of you that don't know, the bullets are the dying will bullets. Basically, when you get shot with them, it makes you, like, kind of die, but, like, if you have, like, a thing that you wanted to do and you didn't get to and you died regretting it, you have to do that thing.
And you will live because of it.
Yeah. It's a little weird. And the main character ends up naked a lot because of it.
Well, almost naked.
Except for the socks and underwear.
Yeah.
Actually, no, the socks usually disappear as well.
Oh, yeah.
As much as I don't recognize much of the plot here, and I think it's much of a non-plot at this point, spoiler alert for episodes 1 through 12, and if Seki can't control herself further.
No, I'm not going to talk about what happens after that, other than the fact that Sansa is my waifu.
I'm watching you.
I can tell. I'm looking deeply into your eyes, and I see the judgment. So that episode didn't really have a whole ton in it, other than the introduction of Tuna.
It was
Reborn.
Okay introduction.
Yeah.
His mother is very lax, honestly, about all these people just kind of showing up.
Yeah, she's a little naive. She's kind of like that typical, like, anime mom that, like, doesn't really notice anything's wrong.
Yeah. Hi, ma'am. Your son's joining the mafia. Bye, ma'am.
Yeah. So episode 2 was the end of school.
Yeah.
Introducing my husbando / waifu, Hayato.
Gokudera-kun, who is a dynamite specialist.
Oh yes, pyrotechnic man.
Yeah.
I was waiting for the explosions to actually kill everybody.
I mean, let's be honest, he is the most tsundere of all the characters.
Does that mean that this is the previous incarnation of Megumin?
no.
I'm gonna hurt you.
Mm.
I'm gonna hurt you.
Not the right anime.
Viscerally hurt
I mean,
Leave, you freaking
they're both. They're both comedy shows, but one leans more on the shonen than.
Leave.
No.
Leave this discussion, you weeb.
you. My world is
I will
dying.
never leave because we're all weebs here,
My world is dying.
aren't we all? Though.
You need to not. You need to not. But it was another episode that kind of just introduced a character. Generally, that's how the first 12 episodes go. They're just introducing main characters, and if we could go further, you'd see more. That's why it's called the Daily Life arc. Because it really is just like initial character interaction, so you get to see that character, what they do, what they're good at, and kind of like how they get involved. So it was interesting. Gokudera Hayato is not my favorite character introduced in the Daily Life arc.
Heathen.
I mean, obviously Vorn likes poison cooking Bianchi.
Bianchi.
And that was like a bare minimum.
I like her too.
Like,
She's also
pretty
likely
cool.
to kill
Yeah,
Rambo.
yeah, she is. To be fair, everyone's likely to kill Lambo at some
But
point.
those two in particular.
Yeah.
I guess, do we want to move on to the next episode? Speaking
Yeah,
of Bianchi.
since we're talking about Bianchi, the third episode was shocking. Cooking with love and horror.
More like horror, no love.
Honestly, I think that's what soda does to my insides.
Oof.
But you know what? They're clean.
Hmm.
and they don't look like that.
Yeah.
Bianchi might be my spirit animal.
Yeah, that's fair. Knick-Knack can't cook. At all.
Like,
not even a little.
Like, just for reference about how Knick-Knack can't cook, he somehow managed to simultaneously burn a burger and leave it raw at the same time.
No, not burn. Melt.
Yeah,
Oh, melt it.
a raw
Melt it.
burger on the pan.
Yeah.
It was, quite
And
frankly, astounding and a little bit scary.
Yes.
He would do well in the art of poison cooking.
Yes.
All it needed was some purple anime fumes, and it would have been perfect.
Also, throw in some...
Oh god, this is the
maggots.
episode that introduced Lambo too.
Yeah, it's also the episode that we get to see the dynamic between Bianchi and Hayato, who are actually siblings.
Yeah.
So like, can I buy? I want to buy some merch from this anime. I want to buy Lambo's head, just his severed head.
I mean, it's less likely that someone in this anime will sever his head as putting a bullet through his head.
Yeah, that is true.
He's blown him
Either way,
well enough.
the action it takes to get his death doesn't matter as long as someone does it.
Yes. Lambo is.
So Lambo's this little baby who wears like a cow onesie, and his goal is to like kill Reborn, the world's #1 hitman. So, like I said, I can't go further. But rest assured, there is an actual legitimate reason that relates to the plot that's very important as to why they look like babies. With the exception of Lambo. Lambo's just a baby. Period. Lambo's just a baby. He's just really small, but Reborn, there's an actual explanation for that. That's further in.
Is he a midget?
No.
Oh,
He actually is the full-sized, fully grown person, technically.
great.
But yeah, no. So that is something that you'll see later in the plot if you decide to continue watching, or if any of our viewers have already seen it.
Well, watching a bunch of babies try to kill each other isn't necessarily the least highlight of my day.
Yeah. Oh, also, let's talk about the MVP of this show, Leon Kun,
Oh.
Well, I'm trying to remember.
the shape-changing chameleon that he has.
Oh yeah, the one
Yeah.
that changes into
His
the
animal
gun.
companion.
He's such a small character that it's hard to remember him.
He's super important.
But he's very
though.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember that one like cousin of the main character or something like that, or like extended cousin
Yeah.
asked for him and didn't get him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then episode 4 was after that.
Haru.
Destroy Girls' Hearts, which is
Oh.
where we meet Haru
Yay!
and Kyoko. Team Kyoko all the way.
No. Kyoko is too basic.
Kyoko is the best. Kyoko is the OG team.
Kyoko will not give you her love and support. She'll just smile and wave.
Why would you go for Kyoko when you can go for her brother?
That's fair.
Oh, wow.
I would go
That
for
is
Ryohei
true.
any
He's
day.
got some serious passion. But we'll get to him later.
Yeah.
We'll get to him later.
Yeah. I don't know, this episode was one of probably my least favorite of the first 12, I'm not going to lie.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm not really a fan of some of the girl characters in this anime, so I'm not really a fan of either Kyoko or Haru. So generally, this was just kind of a meh episode for me.
If I remember right, though, this is the episode where we find out that Reborn was like the greatest of mathematicians as well, and they bring in that full
Professor
BS like
Boron.
math problem that was like that doesn't even work as a math. Like,
Yeah,
That's more physics.
he's secretly a math genius.
like what was that?
It was one of his disguises.
I'll be real. It was one of the few episodes I actually liked.
It's one of his disguises, like his alternate selves, Professor Boron or something.
When he's not hiding in a random panel on the wall or in your potted plant.
Exactly. When he's
Or in
not
a
finding
tree.
some sort of Perry the Platypus frickin' hiding place.
Pretty much, except instead of stopping evil crime lords, he is the evil crime lord.
Ah, that's fair. That's very fair.
I think he still stops other evil crime lords.
I
Yeah.
guess. Only if they're in a rival family,
Only if he's
I
getting
guess.
paid enough to do it.
That
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, he's getting paid well for his services. And then the next episode is 5, Director of the Discipline Committee's Avoidance of Boredom. And actually, I really like Kyoya Hibari.
Is this the one where they like?
He's got the tonfas.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
But like they have the full.
Honestly, Vorn, he looks a bit like you. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
he also reminds me a bit of Vorn, just personality-wise.
Hang on, was this the
Yeah.
episode where he
Yeah.
had like all of those like gangster members
Yeah.
working with the prefect?
The Discipline Committee is made up
The-
of these like really like like old school anime gangster type with like that big funnel hair.
Yes, I know.
too.
I saw that, and my first
Yeah.
thought was, this guy's got an army of Jotaros.
Yeah, basically.
No, that's not Jotaro. That's Josuke.
Oh, Josuke?
Yeah, Josuke.
Sorry, I clearly had my JoJo wrong.
that's from what is it? You haven't seen Diamonds and Dragons
No.
yet.
And
Yeah,
you know what the
that's
best
why.
part is? They're all actually part of the Discipline Committee and really good students.
Interesting.
Huh.
They're legitimately part of the Discipline Committee.
They
and
just
it's
dress
great.
up to scare everybody.
No, that's just how they like to dress.
That was another episode I actually
Okay.
kind of liked, because
Yeah.
there was like real fighting in it. It wasn't just, I become
The
naked and I
tonfas.
punch people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, I love Hibari Kyoya and his tonfas. He's one of my
Mhm.
favorite characters.
I think we're forgetting about that one baseball player.
Oh,
Oh,
Yamamoto.
yeah.
He is kind of forgettable, if I'm honest, but he was introduced in the same episode
He
as...
just kind of
Yeah, he was introduced in the first episode.
yeah.
Oh, I like where was it? What episode was it, like that he grabbed on to him while he was
That's
running?
coming up. That's
Yeah,
2
yeah.
episodes from now.
Ah,
But we kind of did gloss over the baseball player.
Yeah.
But he comes really into the story in this episode big
Yeah.
time.
I'm sure he gets a lot more important later on or something, maybe?
Yeah,
Or at least isn't...
generally most of the characters right now that are being introduced are actually generally important later. Okay.
I mean, I think it's fair that we kind of glossed over him, because the show kind of glosses over him compared to the other side characters.
Yeah, because in the first 2 episodes, Gokudera was more of a
Yeah.
important introductory character
Because
than
he's actually
Yamamoto
he has
was.
ties to the mafia. And whatnot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Whereas Yamamoto just kind of thinks this is a whole like charade or whatever. He doesn't take it seriously.
No comment.
Hmm.
Anyways,
Hmm.
but Yamamoto is another character who I don't like in the first arc at all. He really doesn't come into himself till later. Period. He just doesn't.
Promise, he's just kind of... he's more of a token character. And like, he's just kind of
Yeah.
there to be there.
And I feel bad because this is one of my things with putting shonen animes into the hat, is because a lot of these animes were planned and meant and are longer. So a lot of the first 12 episodes are introduction. So it's hard to like get the real feeling of a character when you've only met them briefly. But then again, it's also unfair of me to ask to put extra episodes in just because it's shonen and it's extra long.
Yeah, because casually, like, watching a shonen... like, watching, like, 12 episodes on on some, like, seasonal anime or on some shorter anime, is the equivalent of watching like 50 to 60 episodes of a shonen sometimes.
Yeah.
Which I think is a flaw of the genre, but...
Yeah, so this show, you do need a little bit of like willingness to like sink in, because at the very least, I feel that to fully get all the characters, you need to finish the daily life arc, but that's also 33 episodes.
Yeah.
So it's not fair for you to ask, but because of that, I think characters like Yamamoto especially, who does become interesting later, is kind of nerfed right at the very beginning. He's not very interesting, and he's generally kind of a wallflower.
Here's the thing, though. I would enjoy watching this, but the plot is just so slow that it makes me just hate it at the slowness.
I know, and this is one of the shows where I can genuinely say that the first 33 episodes are slow as a snail. But after the 33, it really picks up.
I realize this is definitely a thing in like long-running shonen, but
yeah.
I'm going to be honest here.
The introductions are taking forever, and it's really boring.
Like, as soon as we get introduced to it, and like after maybe that episode and the one after it, we don't see any plot development with that character anymore.
Exactly.
And we don't see that much plot
exactly.
development.
And that is a flaw of this show specifically. Like, this show, more so than a lot of the other shonen I've watched, is that this show, the first 33 episodes are just, we're going to introduce this big cast of characters, and then we're going to do kind of like unimportant things with them so that you can generally get used to them for 33 episodes before diving deep down into the actual plot, which is probably why I'll be resubmitting this in the hat. So it should come up eventually again, and we'll watch another couple sets of episodes just so I can push us all into the Vongola battle arc.
The good parts, apparently.
Yeah.
Well,
but, you know, now that we've kind of talked about that and we've gone over the discipline committee, you know.
Well, I guess not. We're done with that. How about the walking bomb?
Yeah, ni hao gyoza fist.
Okay. I'm gonna like go on a complete rant on Ipin. I'll try to keep it short.
Ipin?
It's Ipin.
I know.
Ipin. Yeah.
But I call her Ipin.
I mean, basically a grenade.
I know.
But the my God, the episode they introduce her. They emphasize like you can't let her explode on you. You will die.
Yeah.
And then for like the rest of the show, it's a running gag that she just blows everybody. At the end of the episode, she blows. I'm like, oh my gosh, is this like finally the part where she kills everybody? Because they just emphasized earlier that
dying
she
will. They use the hyper dying will to save themselves.
Not everybody in that building.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ipin's actually really interesting because she's actually a link to a major plot point.
Oh, I'm sure she's another one of the babies.
No, she actually isn't. I will say that she isn't another one of the reborns. She is just genuinely a little girl. But she's connected to another important character.
I mean, that brings more questions for me, honestly.
Yeah.
But
According
to her 10 years in the future,
Yeah.
she just becomes a simple delivery girl.
Yeah, she's
Just
like
to tell you-
seals herself.
I thought she was Guy.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
I
part
was
of the
in the same
joke.
boat
Yeah.
as Lauren here.
Yeah.
You won't know until you get to that, like, the end of the episode where
Also,
suddenly...
The 10-year bazooka. Can we all talk about how amazing the 10-year bazooka is?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
No.
love the 10-year bazooka.
I love it, but the problem is that it doesn't help that Lambo. Yeah, Lambo is the owner of it.
Oh
and
gosh, he's
still
definitely not
awful,
Rambo.
even when he's in his adult form.
So he's technically the owner of it is the Bovino Famiglia. His family developed it, and he stole it.
Right.
Technically, but I think it's actually really cool.
I mean, the concept of it is cool, yeah, but like it's just in the hands of one of the worst characters of the show.
Yeah, for like 99% of the entire series, manga and anime, it's just comic relief. Like, that's all it's used for. It's just comic relief whenever you need comic relief that's easy. And then there's a single massive plot point about it. But it doesn't even matter till then, so it's just funny. But it's really funny when the 10-year self comes in, because you kind of get to see like the characters in 10 years.
See, we only really got to see two.
Yeah, so
Lambo
far.
and Ipin.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, between the two, they come in and you're expecting, like, oh, look how much they've changed.
Not
Lambo
much.
is still a little...
Crybaby.
Yeah. And Ipin is still a bomb.
Yeah.
with
human
a
bomb.
trigger word.
Yeah.
Was it broccoli?
Broccoli man or something
Yeah.
like that.
I think it was broccoli princess.
Broccoli monster.
Broccoli monster,
Yeah. Something broccoli, but it's hilarious.
Which-
Lambo was the one that brought it back.
Again,
Yeah.
it's Lambo's fault. They all should have died.
Lambo's a little odd.
Lambo didn't change, but like Epi and Lisa tried to, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, Epin's also the less annoying of them in their baby
Yeah.
forms.
Yeah. And then, reverting to the episode list, we're going to talk about Extreme Passionate Brother.
Oh,
Episode
yes.
7, where we meet Ryohei Sasagawa, Kyoko's older brother, captain of the boxing club.
So much passion.
You know who he reminds me of?
again? Who does he remind you of?
He reminds me of Rock Lee and Guy Sensei from Naruto.
Oh.
Never watched Naruto. So.
They're like crazy, like exercise nuts.
There was actually a point in time where I got into Naruto for a while, and then I stopped because I'm like, okay, I'm not catching up to this anytime soon.
It's okay. Rock Lee and Guy Sensei are the only important characters. But Ryohei's great. He has such energy. And the fact that he's dragged by Tsuna in hyper dying will form all the way to school, and he's just like, extreme!
He's definitely very
what was his slogan again? It was like, to the limit or something like that?
Extreme to the limit.
Yeah.
Was it like the one thing that I didn't particularly care for this episode, but the one thing that was kind of like different was like when he got shot. He's the only other character to get shot by the dying bullet in the entire
so far.
Yeah.
12 episodes.
And it made zero difference to
Yeah, because he's already living like hyper dying will practically.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome. But I actually really like him as a character. I think he's amazing.
I feel like we haven't seen too much of him yet. We saw that first episode left a decent impression of him.
He didn't even tag along with like Tsuna and all of his other friends and whatnot at the end of that episode.
Well, and a lot of that is because there's a separation from him to some of the other characters because he's older.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not in the same grade level. He doesn't normally hang out with them. He's in the sports club.
He's not likely to go join Losers Tuna's posse.
Yeah. It's at least they're not setting him up to be. He's just like the passionate boxing man, Kyoko's older brother.
That's more, I think, just a plot point to tie him into one of the more important characters of the series.
No, I think we should move on to the best older brother.
The senior boss thinks of his family. Episode 8.
Dino. Actually,
Bucking horse Dino.
I actually kind of like this character.
I love Dino. He is one of my favorite characters.
Although he's worthless
Dino
without
was
his family around.
Yeah, but he's the bucking horse when his family's there. The bucking bronco.
Yeah,
I like. He's actually a pretty decent foil to Tsuna.
Yeah, head of the Cavalion family, the 10th generation head. Also tutored by Reborn.
Although, that ridiculous moment where they pull off the fake kidnapping, blame it on an actual, gang within the city, and...
Yeah.
And then the two of them single-handedly, almost beat up the entire gang themselves.
Yeah.
Over a fake kidnapping. And let's talk about his turtle.
Oh, that giant turtle, yeah.
Y'all. His turtle.
Spongy turtle.
Who gets ginormous.
When he sits in a lot of water.
I feel like for all the episodes he appears in, he's going to be a running gag.
Yeah.
Oh, he's amazing. I love the turtle. And Dino himself is just really a running gag.
Yes.
Because he's so clumsy and wrong when his family isn't there.
Like,
But he does...
I could just imagine, all the things that would go wrong when he was in that tank in a later episode.
Yeah.
But if one of his members wasn't there with him.
But, also, generally, with the introduction of Dino, we get a little more into the Mafia world.
Yeah.
Which is really what this whole show is about, the Mafia world.
Well, you wouldn't know it from those first 12 episodes.
Exactly. Yeah. Because, it's just kind of even to Tsuna, Reborn is still kind of can I even train him? Is he, can I do this? Which is partially why they're using the hyper-dying will bullets.
Yeah.
But you're right, Dino is actually a really good foil to Tsuna. They're similar in certain ways and different in others, and it makes an interesting episode.
Dynamic.
Yeah, to see the two of them interacting. Because Dino, in the flashbacks, Dino goes through a lot of the same things.
Mm-hmm.
But Dino, at least in front of his men, he's kind of he's self-assured, he's the protector. He's what Tsuna needs to become, essentially. But it also shows that, you can still be quirky and a little bit idiotic on the side. So the fact that Tsuna is Dame Tsuna doesn't really matter.
Yep.
Okay, episode 9, Short Life Skull Disease.
Tsuna almost dies. I love this episode already.
I like this episode because we got plot, dang it.
Yeah.
And then he is cured by a man who has been afflicted with every single disease ever. But the diseases are all busy fighting with each other for control over his body, so they just, don't.
We've also found our resident perv of the series.
Yeah. That's fair. That's very fair.
No, if an anime doesn't have a perverted character, it's not anime.
Yeah.
It was probably developed in China or maybe France. I don't know. Somewhere more sane.
Yeah, that's fair. This episode actually didn't do a whole ton for me, other than introduce a character. I don't know. It wasn't one of my favorites.
It was just there, kind of.
Yeah.
For the most part, just something to essentially move along.
Yeah, honestly, this one and the next two episodes, 10, the Gahaha Exploding Lunchbox, and the Dumpling Bun of Love and Death, were probably the most fillery you're going to get in this arc.
I don't know. I thought even though they introduced characters in the previous ones, this one still introduced a character. It just feels like the entire 12 episodes are filler.
Yeah, well, it's because they're all introductions. It's because we haven't met any of these characters yet, and we need to.
I don't know that this one felt any more fillery than the other ones, if I'm honest.
I don't know but that also could be my bias looking back from later in the series, knowing who becomes super important and who doesn't, and generally who I like and don't like. This just feels a little bit more unnecessary to me.
I agree. I think this is a little bit unnecessary in terms of plot development. It's more so, again, just character introductions.
That's all the episodes so far, though.
Well, the reason why I say I like this episode because of the plot development is just because, he actually is able to use the Undying Will without the bullet. That's the only reason why. Otherwise, it's pretty much same old, same old.
Actually, it sounded like Reborn. That's where Reborn wants him to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because that's the point of the bullet, is that if he can't trigger him to use it himself within the 12 bullet limit or 13 bullet limit, he does actually die. But this is his bloodline. Tsuna should be able to activate Hyper Dying Will. It's in his blood, quite literally.
Yeah.
Because it isn't something that everyone can activate necessarily the same way. Which, it gives us kind of a look into Tsuna a little bit.
Does that also mean that Reborn could have accidentally killed that one boxing guy?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
But he's already living on the edge, so it's
he's
okay.
fine. He's fine.
I wonder what happens if he doesn't live on the edge anymore.
Oh, the next episode.
The Exploding Lunchbox.
This is a Lambo-focused episode.
Yeah.
And Lambo's and we've already agreed that Lambo is the worst character, so it's the worst episode. Therefore,
even I have to say that Lambo, even out of the main characters later in the series, he is genuinely my least favorite character. Just because he's really annoying at this point. And
in this episode, he literally pisses his pants.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's just
yeah. I love this show. I love the characters. I don't love Lambo. He's not my favorite.
The show would be better without Lambo existing.
I can't say that because I know what happens further in, but
if we were to give all of Lambo's plot relevant stuff to someone else, what is lost by losing someone dressed as a cow who pisses his pants?
Well, nothing if you give all of his plot-related stuff up.
Give it all to a better character.
But Lambo's character, does come into play later. It's important that he's a whining baby who's not really capable of anything.
Oh, God.
He makes a good foil to other stronger characters in a group setting. If there's, attacks or fights.
Maybe just as far as I'm seeing now, he's the Jar Jar Binks of an already just kind of show for me.
And the thing, I can't argue that because you haven't seen any further. So that's fair. Because right now he is basically the Jar Jar Binks. Which, sucks, but whatever. Dumpling bun of love and death.
Good old dumpling buns almost
Gyoza
killed-
bun of love and death.
Yeah, gyoza bun. Ipin almost killed the 2 resident girls of the series.
Just as you casually do in this series.
Yeah.
Because apparently only the practitioners of her secret art of gyoza are supposed to eat these buns.
Yeah.
And she had to find her master in order to get more antidote. Because there was only one in the little pack that her master gave her. So
Her master is actually a very important character later, and it's very interesting.
I mean, it makes sense.
It was fun to
Yeah.
watch him rip apart that shopping place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than that, it was very...
It was,
I do agree, this was a very filler. It didn't even introduce any characters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because we're starting to...
This was more... Okay, this episode was more just to develop established characters, sort of.
Kind
And a
of.
lot of that is because, so we're going to talk about it in the next episode, which is Training Teacher Strengthening Program. So this is the Daily Life in Kokuyo arc, episodes 1 to 33. And it gets the characters from, we don't know them to, the end of what's essentially a really long training montage. And episode 12 is the start of that training montage.
I guess before we move on to episode 12, if you had to pick between who had to die, we already know your 2 responses, Realm and Seki.
Yeah.
Vorn, who would you have allowed to die?
Any of them really? I don't care for the show that much, unfortunately, yet. So
Lord Vorn would
really
have
mind.
saved the rare cure for another better occasion.
Yeah.
And you, Nick Neck?
Me? Well... I'd probably save Haru.
Yes! I knew I was
Fair.
alone.
Yeah.
Very fair. But going back to talking about episode 12, so we start what's essentially what will become a 10 to 15 episode trading arc that we only watched episode 1 of, because we did stop at episode 12, that leads up into a small fight arc before the end of the main daily life and opening, and then it moves on to practical plot that gets really into the nitty gritty of the series. And I actually really like episode 12 because it develops specifically, I think, Gokudera's character a lot more in episode 12, which is an important development in my opinion.
So I'm gonna be honest, I only really remember the first half of the episode clearly, and then I remember a few other halves. I don't know what it was that day, but I was just in and out of consciousness in the middle of the episode, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
I remember Yamamoto's training was just straight baseball.
Yeah.
Tank
Baseball.
baseball.
Yes, and then it evolved into him dodging tank shells, basically.
And eventually he got a sword, didn't he?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that sword is actually, basically the beginning of his fighting character development. He will be a swordsman, which is interesting because we're talking about modern day mafia in essence, and his chosen weapon of choice is a sword.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. It's a ballsy move. But then again, Hayato throws dynamite.
Yeah.
So,
And he can dodge tank shells, so why can't he dodge bullets? So
Exactly.
yeah.
So I guess my next question is, with Gokudera, what was his exact training again? This is when I was in and out.
he was basically
Well, no, it's
trying
that he
to-
felt that he was being left out and that Reborn and Tsuna were paying more attention to Yamamoto.
And
And-
it was more. It's more to highlight his anxieties as part of Tsuna's family.
Yeah, and one of the other things is, that, he and Reborn have, a conversation. And some of it has to do with the fact that when we are introduced to Gokudera, right, and he's throwing dynamite at Tsuna, and Tsuna hyper-dying wills to get rid of all the dynamite, what was a kind of a minor notice that I think some of us may not have noticed, some of us may have, was that dynamite would have killed him too if Tsuna didn't put it out.
Oh no, yeah, he even stated that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that dynamite, he was a suicide bomber. That dynamite would have killed him as soon as it had killed Tsuna. And part of his training montage is that he has to realize that to be a good part of the family, he can't die that easily. He can't just, every time something bad happens, suicide bomb himself. Because he's not going to be around after the first time. And that's a good part of his journey and struggle, especially during this first training arc, is he needs to realize that he's not expendable. That he needs to stick around and find a way to fight that doesn't essentially kill him. As a last-ditch move.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, though, we know in this series that they all have immunity to explosions.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
You could say they have flame resistance.
But also so even like not even just the mafia people apparently have explosion resistance. You go back to the episode where they introduced Kyoko's brother, and he threw some of the dynamite in the face of some of the people in the opposing karate team. They literally were just like covered in smoke. They weren't even physically harmed by the explosion.
And that's once again a shonen trope.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of the
I don't know if
deadly
it's
weapons.
shonen, because I've seen shonen that don't do that, but it's specifically an age range on shonen.
Yeah.
And this shonen feels kind of like more in the age range of like, it's kind of weird, honestly. It's like kind of like the 13 to 14-year-old type shonen.
Yeah.
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 But some 13 to 14-year-old shonen try to lean a little more edgy. This one tries to lean a little less edgy.
Yeah.
Which, whatever.
But
But
that's a creator choice.
yeah, and I don't mind that. It's just kind of funny to point out.
Can we at least talk about like the end of the episode where Suna actually completes his training, but then we find out that's the wrong kind of ramen?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
I mean, ultimately, like I said, I'll be resubmitting this into the random hat just because it is an anime that you do have to get a little bit into before you catch the real plot chunk. But I think that these first 12 episodes are a pretty good introduction 12.
Well, I had one major problem that I have been avoiding bringing up till now.
Okay.
Suna himself. Dame Suna. Loser Suna.
Yeah.
You're so great. He literally just gets handed everything.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, in fairness, he doesn't even want. In the fairness, at the start, he didn't even want to be a part
Because
of it, so they
it's-
kind of have to hand.
Yeah,
him
it's not a
everything.
Yeah.
choice that he makes.
Yeah.
It's that he is the next heir. Like, they're, quite frankly,
He has
he
no
is the
say
next
in
heir.
it. He
He's-
has no say in this.
it's
essentially.
blood related. Because the leadership of the Vongala and the ability to use hyperdying will is bloodlocked. It's not something that everyone can use, so they can't just pick like a deserving leader. It has to be bloodlocked. Which makes it important that it has to be Tuna, basically. But, he's never heard of the Mafia. He doesn't know what this is. He's like a middle school student that's, quite frankly, a little bit stupid. And he's just kind of thrown into this with very little explanation and a very homicidal teacher who does not look like a teacher should look.
Yeah.
With no real choice. So, yeah, he's getting handed things.
but
at
not
the same
exactly.
time-
But not exactly.
It's not
to
exactly
his-
hand. It's
It's
more like
not that
I'm going
he's-
to throw in your face.
Yeah, it's not that he's like, let's say, an entitled, privileged child.
oh no.
Necessarily. It's just that he doesn't want it, so they have to shove it into his face and force it and like make him take it. Which is fair. I mean, he is being handed things. He's being handed like the next leadership of the Mongala. He's literally pushed into having Gokudera Hayato as a friend.
It's like
You know?
it's like that one episode of SpongeBob where Mr. Krabs takes that giant pill.
Yeah.
That very giant pill.
Yeah.
But I think my big problem is that he's a whiny archetype.
Yeah, he
And that
is.
gets real annoying when nothing he's doing is earned in the slightest.
Yeah, and that is very fair. Suna's actually not one of my favorite characters, just generally because he is kind of the whiny archetype.
Now, also being fair, I love him a lot more and I like Lambo.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
fair.
yeah.
That's very fair.
And I've watched and enjoyed anime that have the same whiny archetype. It's not...
Yeah,
It makes,
It's just about how the anime goes about it with the
yeah.
type.
It's and I hate to keep repeating myself, but once again, it's something that changes like later on. Like it doesn't. It's not a miraculous change. It's a progression.
well, I'll rejudge Suno when I see it. But
when we pull it from the hat next.
as far as it goes now, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
All right.
And speaking of pulling from the hat, it's
Let's do
time
so.
to pull our anime for the next 2 weeks.
Oh boy.
22 names in here, people.
Drum roll. Drum roll.
And the lucky winner is Overlord.
Oh!
This is gonna be nice.
Okay.
I think I was the one who submitted this one.
So
actually,
we will be watching Overlord 1 through 12 for our next episode.
awesome.
Neat.
I've already watched this, but
We're
I'm
finally
going to go back to it.
escaping Japanese high schools and middle schools.
and now going into what is basically a D&D campaign.
And now we get to go into Isekai.
Yes.
Well,
A good
really.
isekai, mind you. Well,
I mean,
Yeah.
not my cup of tea, but I will watch it because I think I've seen the first couple episodes.
Yeah, you.
I think I was forced into it
yes.
by this
Yes.
very group of people.
And you will be forced once more.
Yes.
Suffer.
Anyways,
All right.
with that pick, this has been the Anime Club. And remember, try harder, everyone.